Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 21st of February, year 2024. Welcome. I'm hoping everyone is having a fantastic, almost end of winter, hopefully, in the next 6-8 weeks. Let me go back to who we have on the panel. We have April here. April is a psychic medium, quite a few modalities of healing. If anybody's interested in holding one-on-one sessions with April, she's always available. I know quite a few people from the group have sought your advice, April, so grateful, eternally grateful for all that you offer us. And then we have Patricia here, who's part of our core group of meditators, and Sri Lakshmi as well. Good evening. I'm going to put you on mute, Sri Lakshmi, 1 minute. And then we have Hugh as well, who has been part, he's joined, but he is not on video yet. So April, there we go. Now we see Hugh. You are completely healed by December, April. It was an amazing feat. So he said his scans came clean when he came on Facebook Live around December timeframe. So tell us about what you were saying about your tooth and the information that you can listen from your body, and that information can leave. And then I'll have a question for you. I'm going to tag everyone while you're speaking. Thank you.
Okay. So prior to today's session, we were talking on the side, and I've had a long-term upper jaw tooth issue. And this is where the issues become partly physical, and they're also spiritual at the same time. So many, many years ago, I've had a car accident, and since that time it had hurt my neck. That was the original thing. It was right after I had got my first divorce. I was single mom. I was running some errands, and a kid come and slammed into the back of me. And then I was very strong person. My dad raised me, as I've talked about on here, that basically we don't have any weaknesses. We just keep going, right? We just keep going, keep plowing through. And so I did that. And eventually, as my life became a little more stressful, that's the key, my neck started hurting more and more and more, right? So I'm going to the doctors and I'm asking them, what to do. And one of the doctors suggests that I go get some cortisone shots. And so I do that. I go get a series of 3 cortisone shots in my neck area, in my spine, and it doesn't really work. It relieves some of the pain, some of the tension, but it doesn't really work. But at that time I was on this journey, I wasn't, I guess, as deep into it as I am now. So while I knew that there was the non-physical and there was spirit and I could use my thoughts and all of that, I was still looking for the physical solution. And I think that a lot of us do that. Well, what happens is cortisone shots actually eat the calcium out of your bone. And they don't tell you that. So I ended up with a bad tooth. Actually, I had 3 teeth go bad. Now, mind you, I literally wrote this down so I could remember. This was all the way back in 2016. And I had never had a tooth go bad. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that I had a tooth go bad. And it was actually all 3 of these upper teeth went bad all at the same time. So I go to the dentist, I get a crown, and I got the crown in June of 17. So I had kind of dealt with it for a little bit, and then I got a crown, right? A root canal and a crown, and every since then, I just kept saying, it doesn't feel right. It's not right. It hurts. There's something wrong. And I kept going back, and they just couldn't find anything. Well, me being me and just keep going and keep plowing through, that tooth always kind of bothered me, but you know how your teeth sometimes bother you? Like maybe you clench your teeth at night or something, like it'll go away, right? Well, in 2022, all these teeth started acting up again. And it was a lot of stress in my life, a lot of, kind of pressure, a lot of changes in my life. So anytime that there's a physical issue, you always want to look around and see what's going on in your life. Where are you holding things? Where you're not letting go of things? And you want to go into your body and talk to that area. And I had done those things. I was doing those things. But I think what happens is if we ignore something for too long, then we have to listen to the physical symptoms. If you ignore your emotions and your spiritual state, your energy too long, then you end up having to deal with the physical symptoms. And that's where I was at. So um, I went back and forth to the dentist for about, I don't know, 6, 7 months, kept telling them this tooth isn't right. They ended up sending me to a specialist and an endodontist. And she finds that there is an infection that has went up into my jaw on top of that tooth and the next tooth. And I ended up having to have jaw surgery to get rid of this infection. And it was like, okay. And as they're doing this, I'm also doing my work and I'm like, letting go. I need to let go of this. I need to let go of anything I'm holding. I'm like, right. But it doesn't get better. So it ends up to where I tell the dentist, you know what, just pull it. I can't do this anymore. And what happens? The tooth in front of it starts acting up. I go through the same process, exact same process, right? So then I'm like really going into my body and like, okay, why are you not listening to me? Why aren't, I'm saying you're healed and I'm doing all of this and I'm listening to energy and I'm doing meditation and it ends up, I have to have that tooth removed. And then the tooth in front of that. So it was all three of them did the exact same thing. You guys literally the exact same process. So finally, I ended up losing all three teeth after like 4 mouth surgeries. But in that, and while it wasn't very pleasant, in that I found a lot of discoveries of where I was holding things in, where I was not expressing myself, maybe where I was ignoring myself. Um, because for me in my situation as a mom with so many of these children and grandchildren and so many dynamics going on, there's times where you just kind of don't express yourself fully, right? So as when you hold stuff in, you will end up feeling it physically. And that's what happened with me. So that is why listening to the body is so important. And what happened was over the last 2 years is I kept telling these dentists that there was something wrong. And they kept telling me they couldn't find anything and sending me back to the specialist and sending me here. And I just kept saying, you guys, something is wrong. I don't feel okay. I don't feel okay. And finally, at the end, with the last tooth, after, mind you, seeing 3 different dentists and specialists, them saying, oh, that tooth is cracked all the way through the middle. So no matter what we would have done, it would have never healed. And then the dentist says to me, you did a really good job of listening to your body. I said, okay, right. But the bottom line is that you do have to listen to your body and you do have to be in touch with it. And you do have to learn how to release things that you're holding. And the key is in the body. It is in the body. I was I'm redoing my psychic ability course and to get ready to launch it. I'm almost done re-editing it. And I found it very interesting because I had this moment where I stopped. And when you have intuition, you can call it opening the third eye. You can call it psychic ability. You can call it intuition, but you get that information from your body. It comes in through your senses, your 5 senses. That's the body. And that's how important the body is. Your body is the tool here. And the key is staying in touch with that tool and keeping that tool in the best space that you can. Now, I wasn't able to beat my teeth, but I give so much to Hugh for doing what he did. It's amazing that he was able to heal and be healed with a severe condition like that. It's truly amazing. But he also would have had to go inside himself and work through things and look at things. And the important thing is also to keep it in your mind that whatever you're going through, there is a reason, there is something to learn from it. So I always remind myself of that as well. So I kind of went off on a side thing. I don't know.
The information that you learned, can you share what information it was?
So what it was is back in the 2016-17, I remember this exact moment to this day. It's one of those like frames that I remember. I was actually in my the back of my garage here at this home. My garage has a front and a back door. They both open. And I was in the back, and because of the situation with my husband and my 2 children and the dynamic with my younger 2 children and my husband, I was feeling so heavy, just so very heavy. And I remember that moment. I still remember that moment. And it was very shortly after that tooth, those teeth and my neck started hurting.
That's when you had the accident as well.
I had the accident actually prior. I had the accident. No, I had the accident about 7 years prior.
Okay.
So, but my neck was hurting really, really bad, and I had got those shots. And then I remember I was in my backyard. It was after I had got those shots, but I was in my backyard, and I just remember this extreme heavy feeling. And it was all the stress that I was dealing with in my life, between the dynamics between my husband and my 2 younger children that were causing so much chaos and stress. And I was actually everybody's middleman. I was the middleman to everyone. So I was the peacemaker for all of this. Like, I'm in the middle with my arms out, holding them all apart, like, right? So I was getting everybody's garbage, my garbage, their garbage. And I was the only one, I was the only buffer.
What Dolores Cannon called psychic vampire. They were sucking the life out of you.
Yeah. Well, and not just sucking it, they were actually dumping. I was actually like the energetic punching bag. Yeah.
Right.
Because I was the only safe person.
But
in that
April,
dynamic.
If I may ask, looking back, was there anything that you could have done differently to, at that moment when you felt this, to maybe prevent, years going there? So I'm always interested in knowing the moment, when you still can make a difference. And I know there were a few movies even made that I watched years back that will keep going back one moment, different moments in the past, to see if a different action at that time would have changed. And one of the movies I remember, no matter where they went, it didn't change until they really got to the very first one. Again, I don't even remember the title of the movie, but it was fascinating to me that, because I'm always going back in my memories trying to beat myself up. Oh, I did this, I could have, like, but if I mean, I was not conscious, so going
Mhm.
afterwards is like, okay, you're beating yourself up, but you did the best you could. But if you were so present in that moment and you had that heavy feeling, do you think that that was your chance? The body was telling you to do it something different, or you had to go through the journey regardless? It was just part of.
So if I'm going to be quite frank with you, just be frank with all of you. That would have been my moment to make a different choice. It absolutely would have been, but I couldn't. I couldn't because of the situation I was in and because of like financial reasons. I couldn't have done it. I was literally stuck where I was at that point in my life. Literally stuck. But the option would have actually been to leave my husband. That would have been the option. If I would have left, then it would have made things better, but it wouldn't have fixed the problem. I would have still had to have gone through, knowing what I know now, I would have still had to go through a lot with these last two girls. These last two girls are definitely my teachers. Definitely my teachers. I was literally stuck at that point. And I think that's probably, and I've looked back, and that's one of the reasons for the physical issue is that being stuck feeling, which is that heavy pressure, right? But knowing my girls now and knowing just some of the dynamics with them, it still would have been very difficult. It would have continued to be difficult with them. So
So this idea of getting into the higher vibration and finding, I'm not saying, leaving your husband at that point, but maybe finding different ways to communicate with him or approach things on daily so it wouldn't drain your energy.
yeah, and actually, eventually, that was part of the lesson. So on the first part of your question, perhaps it would have ended up being the same because actually not being able to leave and having to learn to cope with that and learn to maintain my own energy and learn to raise my own self-esteem and believe in myself came because of being stuck in that situation. Do you see what I'm saying? So because I was stuck in that situation, I had to learn to become non-codependent and hold my own energy and not take on other people's garbage. And I had to learn to do all those things to be okay and to keep my vibration at a good space.
Mm.
So in that essence, then it, it still ended up being one of the best teachers.
So in other words, you went through the journey, but you still in that moment, the physical message was not able, were not what you were not able to release it, even though
I mean,
no.
I worked on it, but I think what it is I just was not at the same level as I am now.
Mhm.
And because I had this physical issue, it also it just gave me so many things. So because I had this physical issue I was trying to solve and I was trying to fix, it made me search more. I was searching for that connection, for that answer more, right? So it was almost a driving force in a way.
That makes sense. It's
Yeah.
like a spiritual teacher. It was your
Yeah.
spiritual teacher
Mhm.
was still there, so you can just avoid it and say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. The easy answer would have been to leave. However, I do think I would have still had some difficulties with these last two children, knowing them and the things that they are facing in, in their journey, but I am their mom. So, but at the same time, I'm okay with it because it was a great teacher and still is a great teacher. What happened recently within the last 2 years is that um, things got really, really stressful again, where I got pinned again in the middle. And it's that getting pinned in the middle is where apparently my body says, okay, we'll just break something. So, right? So,
Now,
and I know that and I work on it, but
now, are you still an air traffic controller? You know, you say
oh
you,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not so much anymore. Not so much. It's still there's still some times where it it'll pop up, but and my girls are getting a lot older too, so I'm definitely in the space where um I know that my girls are on their own journey. I'm well aware of that, and I've given them a lot of skills, and they're getting into a really good space now. So not so much. Only once in a while. Great while.
So Summer said for you, April, and then Karina said wish you well, April. So you got a lot of well wishes, and
Yeah.
I know Lakshmi is watching, and Christina is here with us.
Yeah.
So
I'm okay now. It's all fixed now. And it's amazing because I told the dentist too when she finally said, "Oh, it's such a good job listening to your body." And I looked at her and I said, "Now I'm going to be interested to watch all of these sinus infections go away." And they have. They literally vanished.
because you related it to that stuck feeling, your
Well,
tooth problem was related to trying to give you information about feeling
yeah.
stuck and missing it in 2022
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah, and then all that, like I kept getting sinus infection, which is inflammation, which is, that overload, which is right. And then I have these teeth removed. I have the release. I did some of your, I've done a couple of the meditations with the healing group for Joe Dispenza, done my own. It's great. I'm great. Great.
You are
It's
incredibly
it's a
amazing.
lesson, but this is the thing where it's a lesson. I still had to go through my lesson. I had to go through my physical issues, right? Because you are still human, you're here, and we have things to learn. So
You are incredibly amazing. So infinite gratitude that you went through all of this and you survived and you have lessons for us. So grateful. So I have a question for you, April. A while back, Summer who's watching you had asked something about the children of war. I don't know, she may have posed that question to you as well. Maybe a month or two ago, she was quite troubled with all the children that are affected by war. And she said, why is it that they are in war? And don't they come up with PTSD? I mean, I didn't, she's written me so many messages that I can't even go back to like the question she asked like six questions ago. So I can look for it, but it's something along those lines. Are you able to speak to it? And I'll say a few things because I've been listening to Dolores Cannon like a faithful person. I've been listening to a lot of Dolores Cannon, and it's mind blowing when Dolores Cannon comes up with. Thank you.
yeah. So she's kind of she's wrote me about some of this, and it is a difficult it's a difficult topic, and it is upsetting. The thing to know, and as difficult as this sounds, the thing to know is that before you come here, your soul picked where you were going to be born. You picked where you were going to be born. You picked if you were Black, white, Indian, Native American. You picked if you were male or female. You picked your parents. You picked if you were going to be rich or poor. And you do pick whether you're going to be in America, you're going to be from England, you're going to be from South America. So these souls did pick this. I know that sounds absurd, but they did. And so that's the first part to understand. So the second part is that whole area is going to have PTSD. The whole area is going to have it. Many countries have it. We actually still have it over here. So yeah, they could very well grow up with PTSD. But you have to remember, like Viktor Frankl, who was in the Holocaust, came out and became a therapist and developed a theory that we use to help people, right? So there is also going to be some very good things that are going to come out of this. It's not all bad. There will be some of these survivors that will make it a mission to make the healing happen, to make this never happen again. And the other part of it is, now you can send out energy and you can send out prayers. You can send out healing energy. There is many, many, many spiritual healers that create and are still creating many groups of healing, just purely healing the world, healing those areas, healing Ukraine, healing all of those areas. Okay. That's their focus. They're literally creating groups and times to send healing. So we want to also remember that. The next part of it is to remember that it isn't just them over there, because there is one universal consciousness. There's a universal consciousness. So we all, in some way, are feeling that loss. We all, in some way, are feeling that tragedy. But the important thing is to not focus on that. And there's something in Samara, I'm not sure what it is, where she is focusing in on the children and the suffering. And I'm not sure why, because if we keep focusing on the suffering, then we're putting energy on the suffering. That doesn't mean we're ignoring it. That doesn't mean that it should be there. But it is much better for us to focus on the healing than it is on the suffering, right?
So it's like the child is given that contrast. The contrast is given so that the child can make the decision that, okay, I don't want to be in this conflict-ridden zone anymore. I'm going to move out, right? If I was a child that was born in that area, my whole being, inner being, with every cell of my body, whether it was Syria, whether it was that, or whether it was Afghanistan, I would, like, with every cell of my being, say, I need to get out of here.
And
Right.
some may, yeah, some may. And I think that some of them may come up with, they may come up with ways to heal those parts of the world. They may come up with therapies or treatments to heal people who have been through that. They may come up with inventions to provide water or food. Like, there can be so many wonderful things that can come out of this. And again, I'm not saying this is wonderful, but I'm saying there can be many, many good things that come out of it. And these souls that, while I don't want anybody to suffer or to be tortured, these souls that are on the other side, they are not suffering. They are not suffering at all, period. There is no suffering on the other side. There's not. They're not suffering. They are okay. They are better than we are. Truly.
And the lesson is if the children actually give us it's the same thing. I feel the closest I came to, like, experiencing a complete deep loss for small children was when Sandy Hook happened. It was like 6-year-olds. The first time, like, first graders were hit, right, by a mass shooting. I can kind of feel that those children probably gave up their lives to show us compassion, right? Because once an incident of that sort happens, what happens to the people that are received? Some people will feed into one part to this. I feel, April, we have to be very, very careful, knowing Eckhart Tolle's teachings, that things that the media, the propaganda that the media shows us,
Mhm.
it feeds into our pain body.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And it strengthens our pain body. I remember when Sandy Hook happened, oh my God, like how many times did they repeat? This was CNN, and what was his name? Some Lemon, I think there's Lemon in his name. He like talked about the street where that guy must have driven past that street.
Mm.
Every 5 minutes that reel was played
Mhm.
right
Yeah.
towards his school. I was
Yeah,
like,
they do.
what? And I sat one day and I was like watching. I went, look at the time, it's been an hour and a half, and I've been looking at the same street for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
repeatedly, right, to excite those emotions from us that, oh, can you get a little bit more agitated when you see something like this happen?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it feeds. I feel people need to, and I keep telling Patricia this quite a bit one-on-one, that you have to almost put a shield around you about the information that enters into your zone, into your personal space. You have to protect what information is coming, because
Mhm.
if you look at, if I was somebody from Israel, all the media that is churning pro-Israel things. If I was Palestinian, all the media that's churning pro-Palestinian things, right? I would remove them. I would make the decision, just soul to soul. I would make the decision what is going on with all these regions, right? And actually, who ultimately benefits from war? It's the people that are actually building those, ammunition. What happens in a war? Whoever is building the ammunition is winning the war, right? Whoever is in the whole business of the war is winning the war more than, that's the economy of it, right? They want that conflict going. They want that war going for that reason. So we have to recognize that who is in control of that war, more than seeing, oh, the media is proposing all these children are, they show pictures of children that are like devastated, demolished homes, like bombed, and then there are all these children in front of the rubble, just like 9/11 happened. In front of the rubble are all these children. But you have to realize that is what the media is doing to you. It is feeding into your pain body, right?
Absolutely.
By
Yeah.
rotating those pictures, they may have taken Photoshop and taken some group of children and photoshopped it in front of rubble, but you will not realize that. You know how much is being in the security world, there's like, have you all heard of this deep fake? That they may show the queen, but it's actually not the queen, it's a fake video of her. Look up, they've done it about celebrities, they've done it about the
Yeah.
queen as well, that it's fake. That people can create videos, they can create media, and that's what
Mhm.
people who want to keep generating the emotion can keep doing that, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
one thing. And then I would listen to Dolores Cannon and understand the universality of your spirit, that little child may be having parallel lives where in one parallel life they're a king, right? That same soul that is right now having this present, in this present moment, having this devastated life, in other life they may be doing really maybe wealthy, right? In this infinite universes, in parallel time that Dolores Cannon talks about, right?
Yeah.
You never know what that soul has been in their past lives and in their future lives. So you're just looking at the one little instance of this three-dimensional world and making an observation that, oh, that child is this thing. But what is that soul in all its parallel lives? You never know,
Mhm.
right?
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too is that, you know, the soul is on the other side, and the soul could choose to come back, and it could choose to be this great world healer as well. So, you know, you just don't know. As far as the media controlling what we see, that's absolutely true. Um, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news for years. But it absolutely does control what we see and what we view, and it does create fear. And I don't watch the news and haven't for years because I don't want that in my energy field, and I don't want that in my mind. And especially before I go to bed, I don't want that in my mind, because whatever it is that you watch before you go to bed, usually your mind will work on that while you're sleeping. So I'm very careful as to what I'm, you know, putting in my head before I go to sleep. I usually will watch something either spiritual, or I will put on a meditation of some sort, because I'm very careful what my mind's going to work on while I go to bed. But just in general, I don't want to wake up in the morning and watch about, you know, 20 people that had died in a house that burned, and I don't want to watch these kinds of things as I'm starting my day. You know, the first half hour of your day is the time, and the last half hour before you go to bed, but the first half hour of your day, that's when you're supposed to be creating what kind of day you want, not putting junk in, right? So it is very important to watch, you know, when you're watching the news or world events, it is important to, if you're having an emotion, then process the emotion. Cry, sit down and cry. You can have sadness, you can feel that, but to not stay there. And then at some point, you will need to put on the spiritual lens, and you will need to try to look at it through the spiritual aspect, which is this soul. Yes, it is tragic. However, right now, this soul on the other side is perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
You know, talking about soul is perfect. If everybody wants to be shocked by something, Dolores Cannon, when she took somebody through their past life, they were doing there is something called, you know, people who are traumatized, they put in some kind of a hospital, like spiritual hospital, she says. Have you heard of that, April? Like to heal the soul. And she said, you either get that choice or you get a choice to be in isolation, in contemplation of what you did. And what was most shocking, she said, is Hitler was put in isolation on the other side. The soul that was Hitler, to contemplate on what he did. And during that excerpt, I don't know which one of the books it was, because I've been listening to so many of her books now, like all my information is jumbled. So don't quote me on which book, where did I listen to this? But she says that Hitler, whenever that subconscious was talking back to her, said that Hitler was actually very, very creative, but his father wouldn't let him, like he was artsy or something. He was very much into the arts, but his father would not let him express his art. So he took that whole creativity, and this observation, Eckhart has made this observation, April. Somebody asked Eckhart, do people like Hitler have charisma? Are they charismatic? And he said, if somebody, Eckhart Tolle said this, that if somebody has influence of that many millions of people, then that means that they were connected to the divine. They had some connection to source. Like I have like cross collaboration, corroboration about that same thing. Like Eckhart himself, out of his intuition, said that somehow Hitler is also connected to source, but he used it in the wrong way.
Mhm.
Right after
Yeah.
being connected to source, he used that energy, and Dolores Cannon says this is what Hitler did. Is Hitler took all his creativity and put it in this way because people influence, of course, the negative people that were the generals that were around him probably influenced him to go that certain direction. But she says that's the whole reason why he did not. I mean, that's his repression, right? Repression of all his art, repression of all his whatever creativity he had in him. It all came through, but it came through in the wrong way. So if anybody seems to think, and that's why, you know, people need to read and listen to Dolores Cannon or sources like that. And I am eternally grateful to you for mentioning her name, because you will not get that perspective, right, April?
Mhm.
That Hitler was not punished on the other side. Hitler was
Right.
fine. He was just put in isolation to heal his soul.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not like
People have a really hard time with that. They have a really hard, and I had a hard time with it at first, actually, as well. But the thing is, um, you know, there's only one creator. There's not two creators. There's one, only one. We all come from the same creator. And it's not a matter of, you know, you're going to hell. It's a matter of how far away are you from that creator. And if you look at, and again, I'm definitely not a fan of Hitler. However, I've seen some videos of him, and in the beginning, what I noticed with him was he was um, kindly flamboyant, and there's a different energy. But then as the situation gets worse, his Hitler's energy changes. It actually morphs and he becomes a very dark person. But in the beginning, I've seen some videos of him and I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute, that's a completely different person than what he ends up being, this hateful person. So, but he does go to the other side and he does have to be healed, and he will have to come back, and he will also have to experience, you know, learning how to love and to love unconditionally, which means many life lessons for him, which I would not want to be that soul personally, but he chose that route. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Just imagine having the soul of Hitler. So these
No.
kids,
No.
these kids may actually be. The other thing she talks about, like kids that lose their life, like stillborn children or children that get born and maybe in the first 6 months or a year they pass away. She says it's just a soul that needs to finish like that much of karma. They have very little karma to finish, so they need to just like be born, live that life, and create, you know, because it's not so much as the karma of being born, it's also the karma of the people that are around them, right? In fact, she also said, I know a lot of people get devastated by stillborn births, right? Like I lost my child and now you're this thing. She says what she said in her convoluted universe number 3 is, she says a stillborn child is just a soul that decides it doesn't want to start that life.
Yeah. The conditions are not right
Correct.
for that
Right.
soul.
For
Yeah.
that moment. And she says that that same soul gets born, the next child that that person has is that same soul. At that point in time, that soul is, I mean, it is mind-blowing, the interdimensionality the parallel time that she talks about all this about the soul, right? That a stillborn child is not stillborn. And if this child passes away, that means the soul says, okay, I'm done. I don't want this birth. I'll try another time, right? It almost is like
Yeah.
that. And then
There's a guy out there, I don't remember his name, but there's a guy out there who actually talks about this where he was supposed to come here, and once he got here in the womb, he was like, nope, not doing it. And he left. So there was a miscarriage. And then he said, but the problem was is that lifetime, that exact one was like set up perfectly, just so perfect for what he was trying to accomplish.
Mhm.
He said, but he just said, nope, I'm not doing this. And then ended up coming back later where the conditions were good, but they weren't as perfect. But he had to fight to stay because of how difficult it is here. So he had to fight himself to like stay and not leave. So
Beautiful.
yeah, I don't remember his name though. I can see his face, but I don't remember his name. If I
That's
remember it.
amazing. Isn't that also true that those stillborn children or, miscarriages also give an opportunity to the mother or the father to
Mhm.
heal stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and it's
they,
not only the mom or the dad, it's also the siblings and the aunt and the grandma and the neighbor. It's
right.
everybody. Yeah.
So one of the examples she gave was like a lesbian couple wanted to do a what is it, kind of conception. They get a donor sperm. So the donor sperm was the brother, and whatever this brother's sperm was a stillborn child. And what they said was that lesson needed to be provided to the mother, and the brother needed that lesson because the brother needed to know that his sperm was not the right sperm for, because they are related, right? Like it's maybe the wife's brother is the donor sperm. So they had to find another donor, like somebody was not related in their family to finally give birth to a child. But it was the same soul. It was the same soul as the stillborn child, but the sperm was right. So it's like mind blowing that it is that important, and it's like at the soul level, it's like indescribable that what how mind-boggling this whole thing is, right? If you look at it from a soul level.
If this is an absolute truth of how the universe is, why is it so difficult for some people to, identify themselves with the human form and see it as such, even though there is all the information available, like our communities and the spiritual teachers, they still get so drawn into that, eye for eye, revenge and hurt, because that's been a strong pull inside me. And even though I have all the experiences, wonderful, I still, I want to almost like right now, I'm afraid to say that I'm going to affirm it, but I still am so negative and so beating myself up. Yesterday, when you sent me Teal Swan's on self-worth, like, oh, I know this stuff. And the minute she said that, when you do the affirmation and you try to just exchange one way of thinking to the other, it cannot be so opposite, because it's like instead of I hate myself to I love myself, there is a path that has to be done gently, because your mind being so strong, it's not gonna believe it. So it was such a little thing that just made me understand that maybe that's why I wasn't changing quick enough, because I was trying to make the leap too big without giving myself time for small steps. And because I didn't want to feel the pain anymore. So it's like, okay, I feel pain, I don't want to feel it, so let me do it all the way. And then in the process, I guess I lied to myself that I was okay. And that post of Ryan about spilling the cup, breaking the cup, with the coffee, it's like, why did you spill coffee? Oh, because someone knocked me or I wasn't paying attention. No, you spilled the coffee because the coffee was in the cup. So in the face of like a challenge for me, instead of me being strong and loving myself and doing stuff, I go almost still, not completely, maybe there is a little progress there, but into the dark place.
But
Yeah.
that's the emotion that you practice for 40 years, 48 years, right, Patricia? It's not going to
Yes,
go away
exactly.
within 1 second, right? As you keep, so that's the mental rehearsal. And that's why I keep saying that you have to focus on all the things that you did right. You have to write them down, right? At work, what happened, like whether it's past 2 years or whether it's past 8 years of your working life, find the moments, the spectacular moments of where you were the knight in shining armor, and write them down and rehearse them so that you can know that that is the divinity flowing out of you into whatever was going on that changed the situation. If not, it would have, like, if you're turning around a customer, you're on the phone, somebody's not able to turn around this customer is irate, and then you turn them around, right, because of the manner in which she was speaking, you have to look at it as a victory. But you have the habit of taking that and making it a negative, right?
I do,
So-
because in a sense, it doesn't change in a bigger picture. Even my small victories don't change.
But you're not focusing on the victories. The more
Right.
where attention goes, energy flows. Your attention, your 85% of your attention is on the negative. I want you to make 85% of your attention on the positive, and give a little bit of attention to what is not working for you, or give no attention whatsoever to what is not working for you.
So what you do with the very strong feelings that are so unpleasant, that my mind, it's like, oh, I feel that way, so I must, and then the story comes, because I'm honestly
The story you realize, right? The story you realize is thoughts. So you
Right.
can put,
But the
it's like-
feelings,
just like Rupert Spira said, the Vedantic way and the Tantric way, right? The Vedantic way is you just say, on whose behalf are you thinking this thought? On whose behalf are you thinking that negative thought? Right? The Tantric way is look at the emotion. I said, put on some music, put on some meditation music, feel the emotion. The Tantric way is to keep going into it's just a sensation.
just don't want to feel that.
And that's the ego saying, that's the ego trying to put a band-aid on what it is. You have to go through the feeling of the emotion. The path is through the body, not running away from the body. Why do you think Kim Ing does Qigong? So that you can get into your body and experience the sensations that you're feeling in your body. Just now, April said that. Just now, she gave that lesson. That you have to feel your experience, your intuition comes from your body. Every feeling, every sensation, you have to be completely aware of it.
I don't trust it though. I try to.
That's your mind. See, look at the story. Look
You
at
don't
the
trust
story in
in
your
what?
mind.
You
Yeah,
don't
look
trust
at the
what?
story in your
What do you
mind.
not trust?
I don't
Story.
know which information that comes to me is my intuition and which one is my ego. I just don't know which one is the source trying to tell me do this, and which one is the
Well,
ego
source always
saying
feel, source always feels good. Source always feels right. It always feels safe.
It's always
Ego,
peaceful.
yes, there's always like a peace, a knowing, a security. Even if it's something you don't necessarily want to do, there's still like this sense of security behind your intuition. Okay, ego is fear. It's fear.
but I don't know if the thought that comes to me and it looks like a solution is out of the mind, just,
What does
going
it
to-
matter? What does it matter?
Why does it have to be that I need to know that it is coming from my intuition?
Right. What
You
does it
get a
matter?
thought, you act on it.
Need to know if you listen to it or not. If
Okay,
there
you
is
listen to it, you do the thing. If it goes sideways,
Yeah.
then that means you know that it's wrong. Just like Tony Robbins teaches, right? You have to make a decision. You make a decision, okay, I'm gonna go this way. Instead of going, oh, is this my ego? And like all that manipulation, all that calculation. Why is your mind so
Well,
calculated?
the problem is that you are afraid of making a mistake. That's the problem. You are afraid of being wrong. You are afraid of making a mistake. When you eliminate that fear, you will not care. You will not care. If it was your intuition, if it was your dog, if it was your ego, you will not care. When you stop being afraid of being wrong, of making a mistake,
It's never a
and you
mistake.
will stop making that equal you are less than, then you will no longer care. You will no longer be trapped. You will no longer have pain.
I feel better being wrong.
Absolutely.
I mean, I had an ego off, take it from me. I had an ego way off the hook. And then it's liberating just to say, well, it's a lot easier to just say I was wrong. I made a mistake. When you start defending that ego, you basically make an ass out of yourself, you know. But I will tell you, half an hour before y'all come on, I was in a group and I met this woman. She's like, it's a cancer group, right? And she was telling me, telling the group, she's been like 4 years taking care of her mother with dementia, how stressful it is. It's really tore her up. And now she's got cancer. Nobody in the family's helping her. And then finally, I mean, so we can imagine what 4 years taking care of somebody like that with no help, how draining that can be. Now she's got the cancer, real aggressive type. And finally, the other siblings and whatnot, they're all pitching in. They took the mother. And now she's doing it on her. No one's there to help her. They're helping the mother. So it just goes on. And then I said to her, I said, let me ask you something. I said, do you feel relieved? And she says, well, yeah, I actually do. And I said, well, did you ever think maybe the 4 years of hell with your mother was preparing you for your illness now? I said, because that's sort of what happened to me. I was taking everything negative. It's the way you look at it. You know what I mean? Like with my parent, I was like, I've been being tortured with her for the last couple of years. And I got through the reactions and all that. But it's almost like she prepared me for my illness. It was so much easier to deal with, And that woman, she looked at me like, I never thought of it that way, but yeah, I actually feel like I'm on vacation. And she's got cancer. I'm like, well, hello, I'm there, I'm right with you, But so I guess it's it's the way you look at it, your experience, maybe it was it like Eckhart says, the more you suffer, the more you'll appreciate happiness. You know, the contrast,
No,
the
no
more stuff.
lotus, no mud, no lotus. Like
Yeah,
Thickman had said, you know, you had to have a mud, have a lotus.
yeah. I mean, you've had 3 tons of hell, and you'll definitely appreciate 1 pound of happiness. You know, so that's all.
So it's
Just
just gonna keep coming, the challenges, right? The whole entire life, and to teach us how to transform each single one.
yeah, but you know what? I think what did Dispenza say about when the brain cells they hand off the different generations, and it's like you're having reaction back on a immature mind when you were a child, and as you pass into your phases of maturity, your smarter mind, it's like you got to keep that reaction going if you're stuck on it, you know? So it's not it like your new cells get lost in translation as you mature. And you got to keep that reaction just as impactful as it was when you were a little girl, you know? So the pain, it's like you're keeping the pain going. I'm just saying. I mean, it sort of makes sense to me because I've been guilty of it myself. But you know, here you are. Well, or even me, if I think back when any tragedy had happened in my life, it'd be like I'm a 60-year-old guy reacting if something happened to me when I was a kid.
You get addicted to your emotions of the past. Like he says in the environment, if that boss reminded you of judgments or that coworker reminded you of being judgmental, then you use the toxic coworker, your addiction to that, you're addicted to that emotion of judgment. It's not the coworker that is the problem, it's your addiction to the coworker. I mean, addiction to the emotion of feeling the judgment. That every time you see the toxic coworker, you go, oh, look at him or look at her. That she's so venomous or she's so toxic. You can make that judgment, right? Over so and then you're feeling that feeling of rightness within you. So
Yeah, as
so
far
you
as
have to let go of that addiction. You have to train your body, Patricia. I mean, you've had enough of a few weeks alone by yourself. Like you have to sit with your body and train it that's the mental rehearsal that he's talking about. The morning meditation is constantly repeating what thoughts are you thinking? What emotions are you experiencing?
But should I write it down first? Because sometimes they don't come. I mean, they come like the main ones, but not all the little ones. So, you know, like
I'm going to give you a different homework because we've done this with you. We've done this with you. We've said, do meditation. We said all of this. We've said, watch your thoughts, change your thoughts. I'm going to give you a new homework. You now need to laugh every time you make a mistake at yourself. You spill the coffee, I want you to laugh at yourself and be like, look, oh, guess my aim's a little off today. You drop something, I don't know what's going on with my hands. Guess I'll have to pick it up again. I literally ran into the door in my office one time. I was in my office talking to the front staff, went to go leave, walked right into the wall. I was like, oh my God, there's a wall there, right? I'll give you another one. I was at the eye doctor with my daughters, and oh my God, my Autumn, we're getting her glasses, right? And I'm sitting down going to pay for them. I go to sit down. She pulls the chair out from underneath me, not knowing I was going to sit down to use it for herself. I landed on the floor. I'm on the floor. I am laughing. The lady is so embarrassed for me. I looked at her and I said, you should have had your camera out. We have put that on YouTube, make some money. Like, where? None of you, I'm like, seriously, did you guys have the cameras rolling? Like, that's your homework.
So normal reaction in these things for me would be being very upset. like
Nope.
with my daughter, and that, you
You're
know,
not allowed to be upset. You
Um,
have to laugh.
because I just imagine myself. And
Did
yeah,
I like that I was on the floor? I was literally in the middle of the eye doctors. It was full. But for God's sakes, it was the funniest thing. Like, I was serious about the cameras. I really wish they would have had them and we could have done something with that. Am I a bad
Oh.
person? Am I stupid? Am I what? What is what? No,
I think this is my
that's your
end.
new homework.
That's my end that passed
So
was it 2 years
I,
ago?
Tricia, I logged in just because I heard April giving you the lesson to laugh. So I personally did that. I uh, hadn't read any of Eckhart Tolle's books, or all the spirituality hadn't come into my life, but something told me that this person is controlling me so much and he wants me to be sad. And once I realized that message, in the midst of my pain, I would just put a timer on for a minute and I would just start laughing for no reason at all. There was no reason for me to laugh, and I would start laughing. And then after I start for 1 minute, the laughter wouldn't stop after the timer stopped. And it would continue, and it was pretty infectious. Whoever was around me also would start laughing.
But
So
did you have to think a thought that makes you happy, or
no,
I mean,
no,
laugh
I
not
just put on the
physically?
timer, and I just put on the timer. And in the beginning, the laughter seemed a little fake, but I just would start laughing anyway. And then afterwards, it just keeps continuing. But whatever April told, I truly tried this on myself. And in fact, I just recently posted about a Zen monk tradition that these monks are supposed to start their day laughing and also end their day laughing. That is a must in their monastery. So uh, just logged in just to say that please try this. This is the best thing you can do for yourself.
And actually, when I am like super, like really super about to go off the deep end, I start laughing uncontrollably, and my daughters just look at me, and then they're laughing, and I'm literally like laughing so hard because I'm just like, and they're like, "Mom, but we gotta," and I'm just like laughing, like I'm rolling on the floor. I got tears. Just like, that's it.
Yes.
I'm going off the deep end. We're just gonna laugh our way over. I just laugh because, but it changes the energy in your body. Laughing is equivalent to crying, by the way. Okay. So it is an energy release. I'm not telling you to ignore all your feelings and all of that. However, we've done these other things with you haven't worked. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to get you to love yourself, but you're going to do it by learning to laugh at yourself. When you laugh at yourself, you have to have already accepted what has happened. You already ran into the wall. You done did it. Okay. Now laugh about it.
Yeah, I got one for you.
What if it hurts though? Like,
The wall. Be like, ow, that wall. Who put that there?
What
Hey,
was,
Hey,
what was,
Patricia, I got one for you. I put a I was working on a motor, and well, some Harley outside anyway. So I ripped down the motor, just ripped this thing all apart. It takes me a couple days, right? I come back in, I'm like, damn it, what a beautiful bike. I mean, this is a show bike, it's beautiful, right? And I get back in. Don't ask me why I thought of it, and I'm thinking about this seal that was inside the motor, and I'm thinking, and I reach in my pocket and I go, oh no. I don't put this whole motor back together on the bike, ready to start up. I'm just getting washed up. I'm gonna eat and then celebrate and go out and ride this thing, right? And I realized I gotta rip this bike all apart again because I forgot this thing. And I'm gonna talk about pissed, right? And I caught myself, right? So now I'm looking at it like, oh, this is going to be a test on how I'm going to react. So the only thing I knew to do, I wasn't getting laughter like these guys do, like the Shimmy and April.
Lakshmi?
the crazy people here, right? I'm not. But I mean, I ain't finding nothing to laugh about at this point, okay? But what I wound up doing, I said, you got to get present. You got to get present. So believe this or not, I listened to the grass as I'm marching back over to my shop, and I'm hearing the grass. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm really literally grounding myself. But I was not in a I wasn't mad. I was just being present. And then I just didn't flip out and think, well, you know what you got to do. What's the point? It is what it is, right? And then I just started tearing it apart again.
Will surrender.
You know, but I could have my old self. I'd have took them all to that thing. You know what I mean? I'd have been pissed off, you dumb son of. I'd been calling myself every name in the book. Anybody that got near me would have been.
I mean, I know Antoni de Mello in his book, I still have it here from Poland in Polish. You know, it looks like I was reading those books when I was in my 20s, when I was in high school. I was already interested in those things. And I was rereading it because it helps, I guess, for me to also rewire my Polish brain. I don't know how it works, but sometimes I feel if I only do work and words in English, I don't know. Tell me if it's true, ladies. If April and Poonam and Lakshmi, even if that matters. If I also rewiring Polish words, I don't know. But in other words, I was rereading it, and he does say, you're an idiot. Like, live. Just admit to yourself you're an idiot, and then just, in other words, we're limited. We're gonna make mistakes, and have that distance, like, laugh at yourself,
So you have this wisdom and why are you not applying it? You're reading this wisdom in Polish and then you're not applying it?
Do you speak to yourself in Polish when you're angry or mad or sad?
No, English.
English? So then,
right now
I
it's
mean,
English. I even think and write in journal in English, but again, there is 28 years of my formative years and my programming
yeah.
that was done
Yeah.
in Polish. So I don't know if
Yeah.
that maybe
Well, maybe. I mean, it's a good point. It's an interesting point because that was your formative years. So for me, I spent about 3 years of my life in South Carolina from age like 1 to 4, 1 to 5-ish. So there are some words that I say that I don't even want to say out loud because they are so Southern, right? And that's because it's that formative years when the language is developed. So it's an interesting concept. If you think it helps, I would do it. But that's why I asked, if you speak to yourself in English, then it may not matter, but I would try it anyways. Why not?
because I don't know.
Like, don't mentally just repeat things, Patricia. Actually do the practical application of it. Right? Just don't regurgitate the knowledge mentally.
No.
That, I need to be an idiot or called an idiot or whatever. Apply it. Become playful about life.
But isn't Dr. Joe says that you still have to first understand your mind. You give, understanding, so the how becomes easier. It's just,
You don't have to understand your mind.
Well, your mind is, you are afraid of being wrong, of being bad, of making a mistake. That is your mind. That's it. You do not want to be wrong or make a mistake. You're afraid of that, of not being good enough. That is your mind. So you understand it.
right, because every time it happened in my past when I was little, I was punished for it. So
Again, you're going back in the past. I'm telling you, do not repeat your past, Patricia. Stop repeating the tape in your mind. Stop repeating the tape. Look at this mental rehearsal. Listen to.
That's why I'm saying next time you make a mistake, I want you to laugh at it, because you have to get over the fear of making a mistake or of not being good enough.
So it would be like a pattern interruption kind of thing. Just
the moment your mind goes into the past, bring it back. Where are you are you in the present moment? Anytime it goes into when I was 4 years old, my father did this, bring it back into the present. My mother did this when I was 6 years old. She made me a cake, bring it back to the present moment. She made me eat soup, bring it
Yeah.
back to the present moment. Are you eating that soup right now? You're eating broth, right? Nobody's making you eat that soup, but you're regurgitating those memories. And that is how you're rewiring your brain still in the past. And that past is becoming your present is becoming your future.
No,
And
the
that life
energy
is,
body, the pain body that's like hurting me right now and causing how just sit with it and just do the Rupert Spira thing or Eckhart
Yeah.
Tolle. Just
When
okay,
you-
so it's my stomach it hurts. I can't like, it's hard for me to swallow. My mouth is dry. So just sit with it. It's uncomfortable like hell.
and you sit with it. You sit with that emotion. You sit with that emotion over and over again. You sit with that emotion, get familiar with that emotion, that it is just a feeling from the past. It is just a feeling of powerlessness from the past. Like how your father, when you were 4 years old, when he yelled at you, he made you feel powerless. That fear is manifesting now at 40 something years old. It's manifesting right now. And it's just a repeat. I've repeated it 48 years. How am I going to, in 5 seconds, like erase it? Listen to Becoming Supernatural. It took a person 2 years to get rid of all her emotions. When she had cancer, her husband passed away. The first story he says, it took her 2 years to overwrite all of that, but she eventually did. And now she's an instructor with Dr. Joe Dispenza. She's a trainer with him. Right? So you're somehow expecting, one thing is your expectations. You're thinking, I'll do these meditations in a day and tomorrow I'll be fine. It should magically work. By tomorrow, I'll do this healing session and by tomorrow, everything should clear off. You've done
But
this
isn't-
for 48 years. 48 years you've done this. You wired and fired and wired and fired this fear from your father. You fired.
In the meantime, it's just difficult to live everyday life with this. That's what I'm saying.
Why is it difficult? It's a sensation. Sit with it.
Because
Are
you
you
haven't
not-
changed the belief yet. It's
Yeah.
because you haven't changed the belief yet. So you still think that, otherwise you wouldn't be hurt, Patricia. The pain would go away. If you would change the belief, the pain would go away.
But changing the belief in like saying it that it's different, that I'm enough.
It's not difficult. Stop saying it's difficult. Say, I'll sit with it. My presence knows how to sit with this emotion.
Well, what I'm saying is if you would change the inner belief that you have, right? You change the inner belief first. You find the incorrect belief, which is I'm not good enough. Then you change that belief. Once you change that belief, then you can start to look for what are some of the good things that I can take out of this life with my father. I no longer believe I'm not good enough. I know I'm good enough. I no longer am afraid of my mistakes. I don't like to necessarily make them, but I'm not afraid of them anymore. They don't hurt me anymore. And then what can I pull out of this life with my father? So for like my father, for example, yes, he was extremely abusive, but my father also gave me determination. He gave me determination. He was the person that was like, get up, get up. We don't fall down, get up. And I get up. I get up every day. I get up. If you knew the inside of my life, you'd be like, oh my God. I get up every day and I keep going and I keep going and I keep searching and I keep trying. Right? That's from my dad.
I
My
think
dad
I have
loved
this-
education. He loved education. I cannot stop learning. That's from my dad.
I think
You
I see it
learn-
as a totality. I didn't want to be powerful because I didn't want to be like him. So that's
No,
why,
you do-
no,
no, you
That's a
you want
limiting
to be-
belief. That's a limiting
Right.
belief.
You
How
want to
does
be
being
powerful.
powerful, how does becoming powerful become like him? That's another, you look at your thinking, how crazy your thinking is, Patricia. That just because you're powerful, that means you will become like him. Look at that
It's kind of
sentence
like,
in itself.
it's similar to a money thing, Patricia, where people think like money is evil, so they shouldn't have it. But money is not evil, and you can consciously choose to have money. You can consciously choose to have power, to be a superpower, and do it in a conscious way. So you do want to be powerful. And when I say powerful, it's not like taking dominion over others. It's being powerful in yourself, in your
Yes,
belief, right? So you do want that. Yeah. So, but you can take those aspects of your dad, just like I took the aspects of my dad. He's a very intelligent man, very much a survivor, very much a go-getter, hard worker. Those are awesome aspects. I took those. I left the bad and I took the good and said, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for being my dad. When you do that, you will stop crying.
I even wrote a letter for him in Polish. I didn't send it because, you know, but in Polish, exactly that, I forgive you for what I thought you did wrong. I forgive myself. And then I said, well, thank you for being my dad and blah, blah, blah.
So you got two, I'm gonna give you two homeworks. One, and then I'm gonna jump off of here and get ready for bed. One is to laugh at yourself for every single mistake you make, every single one. Number two is the second the bad thought starts, you stop it immediately. You don't even allow it. Not even one slight second. You do not allow it, period. It comes, you stop it. Nope, 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 nope.
She
nope, nope, nope.
marinates in it. She marinates in it.
No,
She's been doing it for 3
I
weeks.
had a memory pop up today. I don't even remember what it was, but it popped up today. It was not a good memory. And I was like, what are you doing here? Literally said that to myself. I'm like, no, and thought about something else. That's how much attention I gave it. That's it. That's number two. Number three is you find the good aspects of your dad that you have, that you like, that make you part of you. Those are your three homeworks.
I would say,
Again.
so much as good aspects of your dad, you have to write, like each of these people, right? You write a list of things that you're grateful to them for. Like your dad took you on your summer vacations. He allowed you to have fish. You love fresh fish from that summer, but you're grateful for that. Write the sentence, I am grateful to him. I'm grateful to him. The same thing with your brother, the same thing with Ken, the same thing with Ralph. I'm sure you had some experience with them, that they trained you on something. They brought out some kind of, I'll tell you an example, Patricia. When I came to the US, the first job that I had, there was this guy, and he used to laugh at my pronunciation, right? Because I had that British, I would say vehicle, I would say garage, right? It was not garage, I would say garage, because British English says garage.
different.
It's not garage, it's not vehicle, it's vehicle, right? So he would laugh at me, and he would laugh at me, ridicule me, and completely like keep repeating how I pronounce. But that I worked there from 1990 to 1993. I got so good in my American English. That is mental, and I look back on it and I go, that is mental rehearsal. That is exactly what Dr. Joe is saying. You repeat it over and over again, and you become this new self, right? Every time he says you're in a whole new body, you're in a whole new environment, a whole new time, experiencing yourself as being the whole new body. Until you embrace that you're a new body, you're not going to, you have to be married to this new self. Your vision of the future should be the predominant thing, instead of you going in the past so much. I mean, I got crazy by talking to you for the 5-6 hours that I've talked to you in the past 2-3 weeks over how much your mind goes in the past. I have no time for the past. I have workshops to do. I have group meditation to do. I have Facebook Live to post. I have some meetings in the evening. I have meetings on the weekend. It's something I've healing brought to me. There's something in the future that is always pulling me. Where is the time to sit and dwell on the past?
Even when I was busy, it's still coming. Because obviously people are,
Then you have to make your mind stop regurgitating the past. Byron Katie says the same thing. Your mental movie making. It's not happening. Your present moment is fine. You're eating healing
I
broth.
did Byron Katie's work for the last 3 nights on Ken Ralph and who else?
But still the negative thoughts are not going away from you, right? You're crying. You're sitting in how many days have you sat and cried? 3 or 4 weeks back when that incident happened, you started crying, and even today you're sitting and crying. When is this crying going to stop? You are so powerful.
It's not as much as the crying, it's just in the morning I wake up, and before I'm waking up with the panicky feeling, and then the thoughts rushing in. So I don't even have a chance to meditate before that happens. I just don't know, I'm waking
Okay,
up
so
out of
your mind saying that you should not wake up with the emotions that you wake up with is incorrect. 48 years you've been doing the fear thing, and you suppress the feelings. Anytime that you wake up feeling negative, that means you have suppressed your feelings throughout the day, the night before. The day before, you've suppressed your feelings. During the night, your soul processed all of that. Now it's coming out. Does that make sense? So
And
don't suppress
what
your
to do
feelings
with it?
during the daytime. You
Well,
have
I
to.
would start with, yeah, the things that we've listed here. I would start with these things.
So laugh
Right.
at myself when I'm waking
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can start there. I need you to start laughing at yourself and then stopping those thoughts literally as soon as they pop up, you stop them. They are going to feel super important. They're not. You stop them immediately. I would make a list of the qualities that you do have from these people that are bonuses. And then, as Poonam is saying, you can write gratitude for the lessons that you have learned from them, right? I would start here. But most important, I would start here. The most important thing is to learn to stop your mind. That is the most important thing, because that is what's pulling you in the past. It also, your mind has a thought, right? The brain creates the chemicals release in the body, create the emotion. Okay, so the thought is creating the emotional state within the body. The emotional state within the body is feeding all the cells in the body.
So what happens if the emotions comes first and then
It
mind
never comes
makes
first.
you third?
It never comes first. Never comes first. It seems like it comes first.
What Dr.
it
Joe
doesn't.
says, April, is the body being the subconscious mind.
Right.
Because
but
she's not processing her emotions the day before. She didn't
Right.
process her emotions. She went to bed. Then her soul
but her
went to
brain did all
process,
the work as she was sleeping.
and
right.
her brain did all the
Right.
work
So
as she was sleeping.
that's
And
thoughts. So it's not before. Your brain was still thinking all night. And you woke up, okay, and the thought is, oh God, that's still a thought. It's still a thought.
So you're using the laughter to break the thought that's causing the reaction.
I'm using the laughter to get her to love herself. And she can also use it to break thought, right? But the laughter, the purpose of the laughter is to learn to love yourself. So what if you fell down in the middle of the office in front of 100 people and everybody's seeing you land on your butt? So what? Right?
the moment
Yeah.
is over.
Yeah.
The moment it happened, that was the past. What is my present moment?
Yeah. Okay.
You have
and
to
then-
bring yourself to the present moment over and over and over again. See, as Eckhart says, right? Experience the present moment with all your senses. You're going boom into your mind.
Yeah. So, and then he also says the other thing that you could do, which would be, and I know Kelly and Kelly have talked about this a lot, and Eckhart Tolle has talked about this, is you are in your headspace. Okay. You're in your upper up here, and to actually pull yourself back, to ground yourself, pull yourself back into your feet. Notice your feet, notice your toes. Notice, do your feet have socks on them? Do you feel them? Do you have shoes on right now? Can you feel your feet in your shoes? Are they on the floor? Are they on the carpet? Is the floor cold? Is it soft? Actually feel your feet. Pull yourself out of your head back into your body. That's
And there,
another thing.
that it's gonna go process in like few minutes, and then I can start functioning. Versus instead of being into that.
Well, if we're
purpose.
not feeding the thoughts and the chemical reaction in the body, if we're not feeding that all day long, then eventually the chemicals of fear, anxiety will dissipate. They will go away. You will be in a space where you're okay or okay-ish, and you will be able to function.
As I did Qigong, Qi Flow Yoga with Kim Yang, the one that Poonam sent me. I did it every day now for the last 3 days. And so I try to, do something physical with that energy.
Mm-hmm. Just fine, it's good.
But it's not.
It won't
really
matter,
that
Patricia.
way.
Like Teal's a different kind of person. She's got some really good information out there, and then there's a couple of her ideas. I'm like, okay, but Teal is great. But like she is saying, it doesn't matter. You can do all these things, but if you don't change that belief, it doesn't matter. So that's why I said, you know what? You're gonna laugh at yourself every time you do something. I don't care what you do. You burn a pancake, you need to laugh. I don't care what it is, because you have to learn to love yourself unconditionally.
What I would say is, remember all the great moments where you showed greatness. Like Dr. Joe says, right? Everybody has done something great in their past.
Yeah.
So every moment, like, if I can say that I came from India to the US, the same thing, came from Poland to the US. How did you survive? Find all the great moments, write them down. Instead of going in your past and talking about things that you were suffering, look where your greatness showed, right? Okay, you talked to me about the painting of the boxes. Oh, look how, what kind of beautiful boxes what kind of creativity I had. They look so beautiful. People were so happy. Write that down and then make that list so that you can reinforce to yourself, empower yourself. Look at my greatness. I'm not only talking about your work life, look at your personal life and look at those great moments. How you turn somebody around, how you talk to somebody and you turn them around. And that's, that is the reinforcement of investing in the future, right? Being married to the future. What is the future self that you're going to get in love with? The creativity in you, the fact that you have compassion, the fact that you have empathy. And I know it's getting late for April, and I know it may be getting late for everyone. So
Just
we'll
don't
end at this. We continue again in 2 weeks. April, don't forget to join us, please.
Yes.
It is always like mind-blowing whenever you join. We have such a great conversation. Much love, infinite gratitude to all of you for your love and support, for rising
Bye,
here.
everyone.
Thank you
Bye.
for choosing your divinity over your humanity. Many blessings. Much love. Good night. Bye.